Here's Brady Anderson. Brady hit the second pitch of the game yesterday for a home run. And this Baltimore team, when you start looking at its lineup, guys like Brady Anderson, B.J. Surhoff, Albert Bell, Will Clark, Cal Ripken. I mean, they've got not only a lot of experience, but a lot of talent and proven talent. Brady Anderson is hitting .282, 11 homers, 35 batted in. And 33 times in his career, he has led off a game with a home run, including yesterday. So here we go. Too low for ball one.
And there you see John Smoltz, 93 miles an hour. He'll be in that range most of the evening. We'll see how long he can sustain that coming back from the elbow surgery.
2-0. Smoltz himself says he's maybe about 85% of his peak efficiency. But that puts him ahead of almost everybody else in the league. That fastball is too far in, so he's 3-0 to Brady Anderson.
And the fact that Brady led off the game with a home run yesterday is the reason that you see John Smoltz maybe being a little more careful here in the first inning than he normally would be.
And that is ball four, a 4-pitch walk to Brady Anderson. Well, we're talking about the elbow on which he had surgery last year. And John Smoltz himself had some comments about that earlier this weekend.
Because I feel 70% of me is you know, I'm going to give the best I can of that percent, and I still feel it's good enough. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to go out there when things aren't exactly right. And I could have waited maybe 3 more weeks on the DL, and I don't think the answer right now in this situation isn't the amount of rest. It's sometimes missing a start might help, and just reversing that cycle of being your arm being mad.
As he throws a called strike to Mike Bordick. Well, he's not even giving himself 85% now, Joe. He's only 70%.
Well, 70% of John Smoltz is still pretty good.
Bordick drops the bunt down, foul on the third base side.
But John, you can see what I was talking about now. Brady Anderson hit a home run to lead off the game yesterday, so he struggled trying to make good pitches, making sure he spotted the fastball. Now you see Mike Bordick up there. He's not afraid of him hitting the ball out of the ballpark, so he goes right after it. And so that's one of the things that a leadoff hitter, when he can hit the ball out of the ballpark, he really helps his ball club because they have to be more careful right at the beginning.
It's Greg Maddux on the right, Tom Glavine on the left. Of course, Maddux, Glavine, and Smoltz, 3 pitchers who've won a combined total of 7 Cy Young Awards. Smoltz won his a couple of years ago. He had his real breakthrough year, 1996 actually. He was 24-8. He joined that fraternity. Count 1 ball and 2 strikes to Bordick. He buzzed him a little bit with that one.
Well, Bordick stands pretty close to the plate, as you see, and he just comes off the plate inside, and a good time to do it. No balls and 2 strikes. You're going to waste a pitch in most cases anyway.
Brady Anderson is picked off. Randall Simon applied the tag, and the veteran Brady Anderson gets nailed at first base.
Well, the one thing that you do not want to do it. Look, he was dancing. He was still moving away as Smoltz was starting up. You have to get your lead before the pitcher gets to the top of his windup or his stretch.
And 1 out of play, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, Brady Anderson.
Well, he only has 5 stolen bases, John, so far this year, and he's been caught 3 times. And now he's picked off.
1-2. Slider back to the screen.
That's a different slider. We talked about John Smoltz with the elbow problems. His slider's not going to be as devastating as it has been in the past, and that's 85 miles an hour, but it was a hanger. It wasn't the sharp breaking slider that he normally throws when he gets 2 strikes on a hitter. He gets you to chase one down and away.
More like that one.
Yeah, a little better. Still not the one that he's trying to throw with 2 strikes. Let's take a look at what he throws. I mean, John Smoltz has a good fastball, usually 93, 95 miles an hour. That's the range. A splitter. And the slider is 84 miles to 88, and there's a changeup. So he has all the pitches.
That one is into left field. Chipper Jones couldn't get there. So Bordick He was able to fight off some tough pitches, and now he gets the base hit.
That was a good at bat for Bordick. He went away with a slider. This is a fastball. He tries to go down and in. He gets it over the plate. See where that pitch is? Down. It's out of the strike zone. But Bordick able to ground it through the left side of the infield. Good at bat, though, because Smoke gave him a little bit of everything that he had, and Bordick was able to fight him off.
Now B.J. Surhoff. And that slider is too low. B.J. Surhoff has been one of the top hitters in the American League so far this year. Surhoff comes into the game tonight 5th best in the American League with a .345 average. Tied at the start of the day with Derek Jeter of the Yankees for the most hits in the league. Veteran, 13 homers, 43 batted in. And Albert Bell right behind him on deck.
That was the first changeup that we've seen John Smoke throw. B.J. Surhoff, very good fastball hitter, so he wanted to mix in an off-speed pitch.
And it is 3-0. But you know, Joe, you were mentioning the 3 home runs the Orioles hit yesterday, including the leadoff homer by Brady Anderson. There's only one other inning in this entire decade of the 90s in which Atlanta had given up as many as 3 home runs. And it was the first inning of a game in 1994 when Cincinnati hit 4 homers in the first inning of a game against John Smoltz. That's hard to believe.
Well, it's hard to believe, except John Smoltz in the past was an overpowering pitcher. He went after you with a fastball, and if you make mistakes with fastballs over the plate, those are the pitches that are hit out of the ballpark. You see Bobby Cox a little bit upset. I think he's starting to worry about John Smoltz.
B.J. Surhoff swings away on 3-0 and fouls it back. 3-1.
Well, that was interesting. Ray Miller, you know, being a pitcher, and, you know, a pitching coach in the past, letting the hitters have at it. I mean, 3-0, fastball right down the middle. B.J. had a good cut at it. That's being very aggressive.
There goes Bordick. That slider is low. Wow. So it was ball 4 to B.J. Surhoff, and Lopez needn't have made the throw down to second base.
But again, I think you see John Smoltz really not attacking the hitter as John Smoltz normally does. He's trying to spot his pitches a little bit more.
Now Albert Bell. 10 homers, 35 batted in. Albert with only 3 doubles all year, 1 triple, which is kind of astounding. And I remember Albert Bell with his not only 50 homers, but 50 doubles. Good pitch on the outside of the knees, 0-1.
And that's more like the John Smoltz that you're normally going to see. More aggressive, going after the hitter. You do not want to fall behind a lot of these good hitters in this Orioles lineup.
Smoltz has not actually retired a hitter. The pickoff of Brady Anderson, a very big play in this inning. Slider, that's a real hard one. Dug out of the dirt by Javi Lopez. Brady wouldn't mind seeing Albert launch one over the wall right here, take a little heat off of him.
And John, make no mistake about it, the things that happened in yesterday's ball game and the first game of this series, they do have an effect on John Smoltz. He's trying to be a little bit more careful. He's trying to make sure he keeps the ball in the ballpark.
Oh, 1 ball, 2 strike count. There is Bordick at second base, Surhoff at first base. John Smoltz facing his 4th hitter of the inning. He's already about to throw his 20th pitch of the inning to one of the great sluggers in the American League, although Albert Bell has been struggling big time this year. Shortened up his stroke of that slider and gets a base hit to center field. Bordick is being waved home. Andrew Jones makes the throw, and he's safe. He just got past him as Lopez tried to swipe tag him. And the Orioles are ahead 1-0 on the Albert Bell single.
Well, Albert did a good job. He swung and missed a high slider, which was a pitch that he usually hits. And he goes down and gets a low slider. But as you mentioned, watch, he just shortens his swing and reaches out and flips it over second base. Now, the thing that I was surprised about is that they play him so deep that they had a shot at Bordick. If this throw is on line, Bordick is out. You see, if that ball is at the plate, Bordick is out. The throw actually beats him to the plate, but it's up the line, and you'll see Lopez try to make the catch and the tag at the same time, and no way.
You might have seen Will Clark there in the corner of the screen on that last shot, coaching Mike Bordick. Here is Will Clark. He homered in the first inning yesterday. .293 average, 4 homers, 13 batted in. He missed a good part of the early season on the disabled list. Cracks that one into right center field, and Andrew Jones is going to have to chase it. B.J. Surhoff will score. Here comes Albert Bell. He's going to be held up as the relay comes in. A double for Will Clark, and Baltimore is ahead 2-0.
I tell you, that's one of those situations where I was reading an article in the paper today, and it said the Orioles are old and slow. Well, that ball was hitting the gap, and I expected Albert Bell to score on that play, but he did not. Fastball away. They've been pitching Will Clark away this entire series. They're pitching him away and playing him away. That ball's away a little bit, but watch, he finds a gap in right center field. If you're playing him like a normal pull hitter, you have a chance of catching that ball. But it rolls all the way to the wall because they're set up to the left side, and Will Clark has a double.
Well, that's 5 straight Orioles have reached base here against Smoltz, the only out. The pickoff of Brady Anderson. Here is Cal Ripken, the infield in on the right side. Cal launches one to left field. Down the line. That one is gone. A home run. Cal Ripken with a 3-run shot down the line on the first pitch, and Baltimore has scored 5 times. Number 390 in the illustrious career of number 8, Cal Ripken.
Well, he scored 5 yesterday in the first. Well, 4 yesterday in the first. They scored 5 in the 6th inning off Maddox on Friday night. They're getting them in bunches against this Atlanta pitching staff.
6 homers for Cal. That gives him 20 RBIs. Delino DeShields goes after that first pitch and fouls it away.
I know Cal would not admit it, but every once in a while being able to take a rest now and then keeps him fresh. I mean, he's got a .298 batting average coming into tonight's ball game. So he's been playing well since he's had a little time to rest. Even though you do not want to go on the disabled list to rest, but I think you're going to find that they're going to spot him a few off days for the remainder of the season. I think that'll keep him fresh.
Well, this equals the highest run total for an entire game allowed by Smoltz this year. He gave up 5 at Wrigley Field back in mid-May. Misses with the breaking ball up and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes to DeShields. I mean, what's really shocking is the fact that he has not even so much as retired a batter yet. The changeup and the quick play by Brett Boone to get the speedy DeShields out, number 2.
And John, this is why I was hesitant to say that this was would be a pitcher's duel. We'll take a look at this pitch that John Smoltz throws Cal. I don't know exactly what it was. It didn't look like his good fastball, and it was supposed to be away, but the ball was on the inside part of the plate, and Cal put a charge into it.
Plate umpire Phil Cousy getting a good look. Here's Charles Johnson. Called a strike in the outside. Johnson, the former Florida Marlin, the former Los Angeles Dodger, hitting .264. He's got 11 home runs. And back to the screen.
There's always been a cliche that said, you know, you get the good pitchers, you have to get them early before they settle down and fall into a rhythm. And that is basically, you know, what happened yesterday to Millwood. He gave up 4 runs in the first, and he pitched very well the rest of the way. And we'll see how John Smoltz fares if he can get out of this first inning.
Well, a great pitch there. One he could not get past some of the other Oriole hitters. Cal Ripken launching one, a 3-run shot. The Orioles have staked Messina to a 5-0 lead. And on the mound for Baltimore, veteran right-hander, one of the premier American League hurlers. Here's Mike Messina.
And John, the last time we had a Baltimore game, they got 10 runs from Messina in the first inning. They get 5 for him here today, and if you're the opposition, you can't afford to spot him that many runs early in the ball game. Good fastball, curveball, change. He has all the pitches, and he knows how to use them.
Messina, in his last 3 starts, has given up a grand total of 6 runs and not won any of those 3 starts. That's a called strike on the outside to Ozzie Guillen.
You can see the difference right there, John. Messina goes right after Guillen because he's not a home run hitter. Whereas Brady Anderson, being able to hit the ball out of the ballpark, Smoltz had to be a little more careful.
That fastball fouled away. 0-2 the count. Messina had 5 shutout innings at Miami last Tuesday. And then there was a long rain delay, and he was not brought back. He left ahead, but the bullpen gave it up. He gave up 4 runs at Seattle in 7 2/3 innings, 3 of them in the 8th inning of that game, and lost. And 2 runs in 8 innings at Oakland, and lost 2-1 there. So he's been going through some hard times, a lot of great pitching, without any kind of results to show for it. Here's the last 3 starts we're talking about. Mike Messina. And this guy definitely knows how to win, though. On a club that has lost 60% of its games this year, he's won 70% of his decisions. And 1 fouled, 1-2 to Ozzie Guillen.
An interesting story behind the plate. Phil Cuzzy had been released by the National League in 1993. Started at the bottom, and now he's worked his way right back up to the major league level. This is his 3rd ball game.
Drive into right center. Albert Bell. And that is number 1.
Second baseman, number 24.
And there you look at the Orioles defense. Messina's not only a good pitcher, but he's a good fielder. He's won 3 Gold Gloves, so he knows what he's doing once he releases the ball, as well as pitching.
Well, I mean, he does a lot to help himself. He's very adept at holding would-be base stealers close. That's a called strike to Brent Boone. He also, as you mentioned, Joe, fields his position well. He's got a very compact delivery that offers very little extra stress to his shoulder, his elbow. 0-2 the count.
And you see the difference between the 2 pitchers so far in this ballgame. Smoltz was constantly behind, and when you do that, you can't pitch from behind against these major league hitters. And Messina is out in front, so he's dictating what they do at the bat. Whereas with Smoltz, they were able to sit on pitches.
Right there in the outside, strike 3 called. 3-pitch strikeout of Boone. 2 down.
When you're ahead in the count, you have a lot of options. Boone knows that he has a great knuckle curve, but what does he do? He hits the outside corner. 0-2 right on the outside corner for strike 3. Get a view from Mass Cam, and strike 3 called by Phil Cuzzy over the outside corner.
Now Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones, 285, 14 homers, 39 batted in. And that's too high for ball 1. Charles Johnson was kind enough to agree to wear mask cam tonight. We thank him for it, putting our viewers right there behind the batter. And it's whacked deep into center. Going back is Anderson. This one's over his head and up against the wall. Chipper Jones is standing at second with a double.
Brady playing Chipper pretty much straight away, and that ball was slammed in the gap in left center. And no chance for Brady to run it down. Fastball is away. Chipper actually off the plate. Watch, this pitch is off the plate outside. Chipper goes the other way with it, and he drives it in the gap in the left center field.
So a good bit of hitting there. Now Brian Jordan. And he's been the big RBI man for the Braves. Seen it, drops that breaking ball in the dirt. A slider, 1 ball and no strikes. By the way, Andres Galarraga, who is in the battle of his life right now against cancer, according to Eddie Perez, one of the Braves catchers, the big cat had his last chemotherapy regimen earlier this week. Well, there's the fielding we were talking about. Messina may have taken away a base hit from Jordan. The big cat will undergo radiation therapy starting soon. We send our best wishes. We'll be back. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Atlanta. The Orioles 5, the Braves nothing as we start the top of the second inning. And Mike Messina will lead it off for the Orioles. Messina 0 for 2 as a hitter this year. A right-handed pitcher who bats left-handed. He is 1 for 8 lifetime. These interleague encounters. That's a foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Messina will be followed by Brady Anderson and Mike Bordick.
John, a lot of pitching coaches do not like to see their pitchers, if they're right-handed pitchers, hit left-handed, because you have your pitching arm exposed and you can get hit on the arm, you know, and potentially ruin your career. So a lot of times, even though a guy may be a left-handed hitter, he'll go ahead and hit right-handed because you don't expect a lot from a pitcher anyway, but you do not want to expose your pitching arm to injury.
Especially when you figure the Orioles are they only have like these 15 interleague games or whatever it is, and you just go up there and take a few hacks right-handed.
Yeah, well, it's not worth the risk in most cases.
2-2. And a foul tip. That one skimmed off the bat. And there is 1 away. Second strikeout for Smoltz. The NHL Stanley Cup Finals continue Tuesday on ESPN. Game 4, the Dallas Stars and the Buffalo Sabres with their star goaltender Dominik Hasek. The series stands 2-1 for the Stars right now. Coverage begins with Quest for the Cup at 7:30 p.m. Dominik Hasek of the Buffalo Sabres going against the Dallas Stars. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. What did I say? He's with the Stars?
Yeah, well, we all know he's with the Sabres, yeah.
Or I said he was a star goalie.
Oh, yeah.
But not a Stars goalie.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I got it right.
I know what you meant.
Brady Anderson. And caught by Brian Jordan in right field. Well, I don't know that Smoltz wanted to put that breaking ball right where he put it.
Well, but the point is, a little bit it was off speed, and he didn't wait and get behind these hitters. I think he has to try to stay ahead, even if he's not going to go with his best pitches. You have to get the ball over the plate. And that wasn't a good pitch from Smoltz, but you get that sometimes. Hitters will miss pitches. But if you start getting behind so they see 3 or 4 pitches, see your speed, then they can sit on a pitch, and they're in better shape.
Mike Bordick. 2 down, nobody on. And that's a foul tip. It's 0-1.
You used to see John Smoltz do more of that, John, the high fastball. And hitters cannot catch up with that high fastball. Now he's working more to keep the ball down, you know, to keep the ball in play. He's not overpowering you with that high fastball like he used to. And he's really pitched really well up until the first inning today.
Pitching great until we got to town.
Yeah, but again, you know, you get some of your better pitchers, you get them early before they fall into a rhythm.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 down, nobody on. And he goes to 2-2. Bordick got that 5-run first inning rally started, as we see Leo Mazzone, the Braves pitching coach, when he was behind 0-2, and he battled it out with Smoltz, and then finally took a tough pitch and rolled it into left field for a single. Ozzie Guillen grabs this one, and the Orioles go down in order. Braves have Javi Lopez coming up, but it's the Orioles 5, Atlanta nothing after 1.5. Benny, aloha mahalo nui loa. The guy from Honolulu, and man, he is lighting it up in the Big Apple right now.
And John, what was interesting to me in talking to him, he wasn't taking this too seriously. He wasn't like saying, man, I should be playing or whatever. He was just happy that he was getting the opportunity, and he was going to make the most of his opportunities, and he's doing that.
That's the way it works. Mike Messina to Javi Lopez, and that's a strike. In fact, he's been making so much of his opportunity that there's talk now in New York that they might go ahead and release Bobby Bonilla. And it's a little bit low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It's a lot of releasing, dollars-wise, that you've got to eat.
He's still got almost 2/3 of this year's contract and all of next year's. A lot of money. I think they'd prefer to trade it. That is a fair ball. And Charles Johnson throws out Javi Lopez. And there is 1 away. The Orioles leading Atlanta 5-0. Last of the second. Atlanta atop the National League East. The Mets, though, have been rebounding rather nicely after their 8-game losing streak. We saw them snap out of it last Sunday in Yankee Stadium, and they've only lost 1 game since that time. The Phillies 5 games out. Even the Expos and Marlins have had hot streaks of late. The Marlins beat the Yankees today. Here is Ryan Klesko, left-handed batting slugger. Oh, he chased that high fastball from Messina. You know, Messina's not a big guy like Smoltz. And sometimes, and you know, he doesn't have a big motion or anything. I think he surprises some of these hitters that he throws that hard.
Well, he kind of short arms the ball.
Jammed it. Bad hop. And he beats it out. Will Clark at a bad hop. Stayed with it nicely, but by the time he recovered, it was too late.
Well, this ball takes a bad hop. Will Clark backs up on it, gives it one more bounce. They make the play, and you can see how good a fielder Messina is. He's already there and waiting, but the throw doesn't get there in time, and it's a base hit for Klesko. And that's the first base hit of the ball game for the Atlanta Braves. Second base hit, I'm sorry. Chipper Jones had the double in the left center.
Well, first 1 base hit.
Yeah.
See, I know what you were saying. You and I speak the same language. Andrew Jones, you're going to have to hurry now. He runs real well, but Messina makes it look so easy. Well, that's 3 times now we've seen Messina show just how well he operates out there.
Well, the reason he's able to field his position so well, John, is on his follow-through, he's in good fielding position. Watch where he ends up. Right there, he's in good fielding position. Now he jumps off the mound, and he actually makes this play look a lot easier than it really was, because as you mentioned, Andrew Jones can run, but he was on the ball so quickly that he didn't really have to hurry. But he's in good fielding position after he releases the baseball.
Now Randall Simon, one of those who've been trying to replace Andres Galarraga over at first base. Braves wear the number 14 on their caps as a tribute to their great slugger. And their lineup, I mean, and it's no surprise, it's just not the same without him. Well, Messina throwing that hard knuckle curveball.
Well, when you have a guy with a big swing, a long swing like Simon, you throw him the breaking ball and he will swing at a lot of bad pitches. I mean, this pitch is never in the strike zone, but he has a long swing and he commits a little quickly, and he will chase a lot of pitches.
Well, and he chases 3 of them to be exact in that at bat, tagged out by Charles Johnson. It's been all Baltimore through 2 innings. Surhoff, Bell, and Clark, the big guys are coming up. 5-0 Orioles. And the big guns are coming up now for the Orioles. B.J. Surhoff leads it off against John Smoltz. Surhoff walked his first time in that 5-run first inning. Called a strike on the outside.
And this inning is the first time. The last inning he was able to retire him. He got ahead of each hitter. And now he starts off ahead of Surhoff. In the first inning, he was behind every hitter.
With a second base, Brett Boone. And there is one away. Gee, it looks so easy this time.
Yeah, it does. Well, it is easy when you get out in front of the hitters. They have to wait a little longer. Let's take a look at Albert Bell's first at bat. Now, this is a hard slider, 86 miles an hour. And watch the swing. That was 82-mile-an-hour bat speed swing. Now the next pitch will be the same pitch, a slider, 86 miles an hour. And watch what Bell does. He just reaches out, slows his bat down, but he makes contact, and he gets a base hit. It's not a matter of swinging harder when the guy throws hard, but you get the bat out front, you swing a little quicker.
That knocked in the first run of the game. Albert swinging at that fastball, and
a little tardy.
And Albert at 85 miles an hour with the bat. Now it seemed to me last year we got Albert.
He was
a little quicker than that.
Well, I mean, he's hitting 249 right now, John. He hit well over 300 last year, hit a lot of home runs. And he probably had a little quicker bat, which allowed him to wait a little bit longer.
Oh, nice curveball on the outside. 0-2 the count to Albert. Well, Albert Bell had 49 homers last year and hit 328. He's hitting Granted, at the moment he's hitting .252 with 10 homers this year. But remember, last year he hit 31 of those homers after the All-Star break. Got a fastball and he ripped it into left center field. Albert Bell will easily make it into second base with a double.
And John, that's a great example right there to show you what bat speed really means. We saw Smoltz throw him a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. He swung at 85 miles an hour. He was late on it. Now he throws him the same fastball and he gets the barrel out a little quicker. Same bat speed, but he's able to rip the ball in the left center field, but he gets the bat out in front a little bit more. That's an adjustment that a hitter can make. You don't swing any harder or any faster, actually, but you just get the bat out in front. You started a little sooner.
Now Will Clark. Clark knocked in a run with a double. He takes a changeup for a called strike. 5 runs already in for the Orioles, and they're threatening to get more here against John Smoltz. Will Clark hitting an even .300 for the Orioles. Cal Ripken is on deck. Just missing inside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And they've been pitching Will Clark away this entire series, and he's been able to handle the ball pretty well. He hit a home run last night, and they went away in the first inning today, and he hit a double in the gap in right center field. And you see the difference. Smoltz tried to go inside on him this time.
And the slider punched foul off to the third base side. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Will Clark was off to one of his best starts ever in his first year with Baltimore. And then he got hurt. And that put him on the disabled list. He missed about a month. And of course was not quite the same coming back.
Well, he said his thumb, I talked to him before the game, and his thumb is not 100%. It's still bothering him a little bit.
Center field, Andrew Jones can't handle it. Man, that one had some weird action on it. He spun 2 different ways going after it, and Albert Bell comes in to score as Will Clark goes to second. And it is 6-0 Orioles.
Well, that was a mistake by Andrew Jones. First of all, he turned the wrong way. He made a complete circle, and once you do that, I mean, you may not be able to find the ball. I don't know if he lost it or what, but watch Andrew Jones. The ball's hit to his left, but he turns to his right. Now the ball's over here to his left. Now he tries to come back and get it, and he can't make the catch. I mean, that's just that's a bad play there by Andrew Jones, who a lot of people consider the best center fielder in baseball. So he turned the wrong way on that swing.
Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach, out to talk to John Smoltz. Meanwhile, let's go to Mike Greenberg for an update.
Justin Spire.
Wow.
Wow is right.
Justin Spire up in the bullpen, who actually started his professional career as a Chicago Cub. 6 runs are in against Smoltz as he delivers ball 1 to Cal Ripken. Cal hit the first pitch he saw from Smoltz for a long 3-run homer down the left field line. That's a little bit low on the outside. 2-0 to Cal Ripken, who is now hitting .303. That home run puts him 82 hits away from 3,000. Tony Gwynn started the day 24 hits away from 3,000. Cal also 10 hits away, or 10 homers away from 400 of those. That's a called strike. There's a very short list of players who had the combination of 400 homers and 3,000 hits. And Cal got a chance to join that before the year is over.
Look at those numbers. Not a normal John Smoltz outing. He came in with a 2.66 earned run average.
Cal lines it into right field. Will Clark waiting to see if it's caught, and he'll be stopped at third base as Jordan throws in. So 3 consecutive hits for the Orioles, albeit the one really misplayed by Andrew Jones from an out into a double.
And sometimes you have to give a hitter credit. This is good hitting by Cal Ripken. He threw him a fastball that was down, and it was toward the outside part of the plate. He didn't try to pull it, although he hit a home run his first at bat. Goes the other way for a base hit. Will Clark had to wait and make sure the ball was dropping in for a base hit, so he wasn't able to score. And Bobby Cox is coming out to get him.
And this has got to be one of the earliest exits in the career of John Smoltz. 1 out of the third. Justin Spire coming in. The Orioles ahead 6-0. We'll be right back. John Smoltz, and this is already the most runs he's given up in a full game this year. Also the earliest exit for Smoltz. 6 runs on the board. He leaves with runners at first and third, and only 1 out in the 3rd inning. And Justin Spire, the son of longtime major leaguer, very fine shortstop for many, many years, Chris Spire. And Justin Spire has helped give the Braves a very strong bullpen when people figured just the otherwise was going to happen. Delino, DeShields, and it is 0-1.
Good movement there on the fastball. And we mentioned his father, Chris Spire, a shortstop for the Giants, came up with the Giants, and Rookie of the Year, and had a good career.
Will Clark and Cal Ripken, the base runners.
Good slider. He's got good stuff there, John. He's got a lot of good movement on his pitches.
Justin Spire was a 55th round draft choice of the Chicago Cubs. Went to Florida. One hit very slowly. Spire's got to hurry over there, but not a very good throw from Simon. And they don't get him. Coming in to score is Clark. Cal Ripken to second.
Well, Simon didn't know what he wanted to do. He thought he might have had a shot at Will Clark coming home, and then he realized he didn't, and he didn't know how to get the ball to Justin Spire going by. So he actually turned around and kind of threw it overhand and didn't get anything on it. See, he's thinking about coming home. Now he tries to throw it overhand. Spire tries to tag DeShields as he goes by, but DeShields was already on the bag.
Now Charles Johnson. Another dribbler. Try it again. This time Simon will take it himself. The runners move up. Ripken to third. DeShields to second. That's out number 2. After 4 straight Orioles had reached with hits. 7-0. The Orioles ahead as Mike Messina will come up now. Well, Joe, so far on Sunday Night Baseball, we're having a hard time trying to really put our finger on just what's wrong with the Orioles. You and Gary Thorne had them about 3 weeks ago. Well, they scored 10 runs in the first inning last night. Hammered Texas. I mean, Texas has hardly lost a game since then. And now here we pick them up in Atlanta against one of the premier National League powers, and they are just having a big party here at the Braves' expense. Messina fouled it away. 0-2. They won here 6-2 Friday, 5-0 yesterday, and they've already put 7 on the board back of Messina, and we're only in the 3rd inning tonight. So they've outscored the Braves here 18-2 in the 3 games of this series. Another dribbler. Well, so far they're not hitting Justin Spire too well. 2 more runs for Baltimore, though, charged to Smoltz. 7-0 Orioles after 2.5 from Atlanta. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Gum Out. The Orioles 7, the Braves nothing. Justin Spire leads off. Didn't even get to see John Smoltz hit tonight.
And he's been swinging the bat well, hitting .400 coming into the ball game.
10 for 25, 3 doubles, a homer, and 6 runs batted in. Well, I'm worried about John Smoltz, Joe. He got that elbow giving him some trouble. We had that revealing shot before he just started warming up. Yeah.
And showing that he does have some problems getting loose, and that may have been part of the problem. He just didn't feel that his arm was loose enough to go right after the Orioles hitters.
Mike Messina makes short work of Spire. That's 3 strikeouts for Messina.
And John, we were talking about Phil Cousy. He had been released from AAA in 1993, and he had been working in a hotel. And he asked, and he wanted a second chance, as we see the guys on the roof.
Phil Cousy, who had been in the minor leagues and looked like his opportunity was all finished. as Ozzie Guillen takes a called strike, bluffing the bunt. But he sort of had a chance meeting with Leonard Coleman, president of the National League. 0-1 the count to Ozzie Guillen. It's a foul off to the left. 0-2 the count. What did he do? He wrote a note to Leonard Coleman and slipped it under his door at the hotel where he was working. And it led to a second chance for him. Messina jamming Guillen, and he gets him out number 2. The rub, though, was that he could start over again. But all of the years that he'd worked in the minors no longer existed. He'd have to start at the very bottom and work his way up again. And he was willing to do that. And apparently after tonight, he'll be going back to the International League, where he is the lowest paid umpire in AAA. And no other promises fulfilled. Brett Boone, the hitter. What do they call that, Joe? Chutzpah? I mean, is that the way you got the Reds to trade for you? You slipped a note under the door of the general manager in Cincinnati?
Well, Sparky liked little infielders, so
he was trying to have.
He was one himself.
What he was? Tommy Helms was still too big for Sparky.
Yeah, he didn't like those big guys.
Well, he was right, even if his reasoning was wrong. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Boone. So Phil Cuzzy, this guy never gave up the dream.
Well, I think that's the key. They want people who are committed to being umpires, and he showed his commitment by starting all over again. In fact, Leo Mazzelli, who had played in the major leagues for the Mets and a couple of teams, wrote a letter to the National League saying how good Cuzzy was and that they should move him up as quickly as possible. And he's worked his way right on up to the big leagues.
Well, he started all the way back in 1985, and by 1991 he was a fill-in umpire in the National League. And in a 3-year period, he worked a number of games when other umpires were on vacations or on leave, things like that. But then in Thanksgiving of '93, he got the call that he was finished. Albert Bell going way back there. That's the wrong place to hit it in this ballpark. That's the big part of the park at Turner Field. Maybe a home run in the old days at the launching pad. Top of the order for the Orioles coming up. Seven to nothing. The Orioles lead the Braves. We start the 4th inning. Top of the order for the Orioles. Brady Anderson on the first pitch from Justin Spire. He is thrown out by Brett Boone. Brady really hustling up the line there. He is now 0 for 2 with his walk.
I'll tell you one thing. It's Chris Spire's son, Justin, has a good sinking fastball. I mean, they're hitting the top of it, chopping it, and hitting ground balls.
He's faced 4 hitters, and all 4 of them have hit the ball on the ground. That was the hardest hit one of those 4 just now by Brady Anderson. Here's Mike Bordick taking a strike. He has singled to left and grounded out to short. By the way, you know, Brady Anderson and Cal Ripken have now been teammates. Joe, this is their 12th season together. Wow. He's got a lot of move. I mean, that's a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, but it kind of ran like a slider.
Good movement on his pitches.
But Cal and Brady have been together with the Orioles since 1988. And there are only 2 other pairs of teammates in the majors who've been with the same team that long together. One of those tandems is with Atlanta. John Smoltz and Tom Glavine have been with the Braves since 1988. There's Cal and Brady. We're also very close friends off the field. The other tandem that's been with the same team that long since 1988 with the Seattle Mariners, Edgar Martinez and Jay Buhner. And Ken Griffey Jr. I think joined them a year later, '89. So that's a trio that's been together quite some time. By the way, if you tuned in hoping to see John Smoltz tonight and you say, wait a minute, that's not John Smoltz. He lasted only 2 1/3 innings as Bordick is down on strikes. 2 down. Coming up on Wednesday Night Baseball, a doubleheader on ESPN at 7:30. It's the Texas Rangers and the New York Yankees. Juan Gonzalez and Rafael Palmeiro. go up against Derek Jeter and the Yanks. Then at 10:30, the Pirates with Jason Kendall against Raul Mondesi and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Don't miss it. Wednesday night baseball doubleheader on ESPN. B.J. Surhoff takes a strike.
That's all Justin Spire is doing, is throwing strikes. He gets ahead of every hitter.
Surhoff, strike 2.
And that's the first changeup that he has thrown.
Surhoff has walked and scored a run, and he has grounded out to second. 2 down, nobody on. The Orioles ahead 7-0. Missing down and in with that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Joe, on that Wednesday night doubleheader, El Duque of the Yankees, Orlando Hernandez will go up against Juan Gonzalez, and Rafael Palmeiro, and Ivan Rodriguez. And that should be an interesting game. That's a rematch of the division series last year between the Yankees and the Rangers, and they're both atop their respective divisions again right now.
And the Rangers are playing great baseball. The Yankees are just playing good baseball.
Juan Gonzalez drove in his 1,000th run today of this year. All right, I just wanted to see if you were paying attention. Gonzalez and Palmeiro again having quite the year in the American League. Surhoff hits that one foul. That's 53 RBIs for Juan Gonzalez, but Palmeiro got 57. They both went deep today. Palmeiro has had to play first base in the interleague games a lot this week when they were on the road. First time this year. Been hurt. That is foul. Not by much.
We talked about that at the beginning of the season. Our first game we did there, we said, what would the value of Palmeiro be hitting behind a guy like Gonzalez? Well, Gonzalez said it would be the best thing that could have happened to him, and now he's being pitched to probably far more often than he would be if Palmeiro was not behind him.
And you might, when you tune in Wednesday, also have a chance to see one of the outstanding young talents on the horizon. Ruben Mateo, 21-year-old center fielder, made his major league debut last night and hit a home run against Pedro Estacio. Close pitch on the outside. And the Texas bullpen, Joe. The Yankees better beat him in the first 6 or 7 innings, because Texas bullpen is 17 wins and 1 loss. That's a base hit. Well, that's why B.J. Surhoff is hitting .345. Albert Bell coming up.
John, we're talking about Bell, how he adjusted to what Smoltz was doing. Now watch, here's a fastball, and he fouls it off. 93 miles an hour, 85 mile an hour bat speed. Now he comes back with another fastball, exactly the same spot almost, 94 miles an hour, same bat speed. He gets a base hit. What that tells you is he adjusted to the speed and just got the bat a little bit further out front. He didn't swing it any harder or any faster, but he made up his mind. He was making adjustments to the power of John Smoltz, and he got the bat out front.
Albert, who has only 1 homer in the last 17 games plus this one, but tonight he has an RBI single starting that 5-run first inning, and then his double in the 3rd started a 2-run rally. And he swung at that one, tried to hold up. 0-1 the count to Albert Bell. And of course, Albert was in the middle of a controversy involving himself and his manager, Ray Miller, in Florida Wednesday night, when he was being removed for a double switch, but didn't know it.
And that, that was a lack of communication between the two. But, and maybe sometimes things like that will, air their dirty laundry out, so to speak, and now we go from here. And so far it seems to be happening, because Bell is swinging the bat better since the incident, and the Orioles are playing better.
And that's too high. Albert, 93 miles an hour on that last one, by the way. Got a little something extra on that one with movement. Albert sat out of the ball game. Ray Miller sat him down here on Friday, which gave him 2 days off after their scheduled day off on Thursday. And Ray didn't come out and say it had anything to do with the shouting match between Albert and himself Wednesday night, but it was evident that that was what was happening. That one falls in, base hit. Albert Bell is 3 for 3.
And John, it was evident that the reason he set him out, because Bell had played in like 392 consecutive games. So the fact that he set him down, maybe that was the punishment that he needed. You see him, he just kind of reaches out and slaps at the pitches. After he gets 2 strikes, he cuts down on his swing. He's not over swinging with 2 strikes, and he has 2 base hits to show for it. One, a broken bat single on the slider, and this hits one off the end of the bat for another base hit. So he has 3 base hits in this ball game.
Will Clark, the hitter now. Will has had 2 doubles and 2 batted in. And that's a foul. Runners at first and third, 2 down. Well, according to Peter Gammons, the Orioles owner, Peter Angelos, encouraged his manager to sit Albert Bell and even to fine him for the incident on Wednesday. And whatever all went on behind the scenes, Ray Miller did sit Albert here on Friday. And even though Albert has really struggled in this early part of the season, Ray Miller did point out that the man hitting in front of him, B.J. Surhoff, for the most part, is having a great year. And it can't be just a coincidence, I mean, that he's seeing a lot of pitches to hit with Albert Bell hitting behind him. And that's a ball inside. Albert himself won't talk to the media. However, he does have his own website, and he talks via the website. Sooner or later, when the guys around me are hitting more, I'm going to start getting pitches, and I'll start hitting the ball more, he said, on the website. Now, I don't know exactly what he means by that, Joe. We can't sort of, you know, do follow-up questions on his web. Maybe we could submit a question to the website, and he'll answer it next week. But, I mean, what does he mean the guy's hitting more around him? The guy hitting in front of him is tied for the league lead in hits.
And Harold Baines,
hitting behind him, is having a great year. Harold was hitting 340. The guy usually hits behind him. Yeah, those numbers are pretty good for the guys hitting around him. I guess when they start hitting a little more than that, he'll get it going.
I'm sure that he wasn't referring to Surhoff and Baines. Maybe that's, well, maybe he was talking about a couple of people in front of them and a couple below Baines.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
When DeShields gets going, you should start seeing some better pitches to hit. Maybe that's what he meant. Bell is running, and Will Clark rips one down the right field line, a base hit. Surhoff comes in to score. Bell is being waved home. The throw's going to go into second, but Will Clark has his 3rd consecutive double. This one drives in 2. And the Orioles, they're not quite back in the pennant race just yet, but they're looking like they intend to get there one day soon. Well, they are leading 9-0.
John, I'll tell you something, and this tells me that the Orioles are really swinging the bat well, because Spire is throwing the ball really well, and B.J. Surhoff found a hole. This is really the only legitimate just crush base hit. But I mean, if you're hitting a guy that's throwing really well and you're still scoring runs off of him, it tells you that you're in a groove.
Well, Clark had that homer yesterday, and he is 3 for 3, 3 doubles here tonight. And it is 0-1 to Cal Ripken. Well, you know, I mean, obviously we know that Bell's going to come around. Cal Ripken has started to come around. He had those back problems that eventually put him on the disabled list early in the season. He was playing terribly with the back problems. But since he's come back, I mean, this is like revisiting the old MVP days for Cal Ripken. 2-time American League Most Valuable Player. Cal, in his last 12 games, hitting over 400. That one is hit a long way, and Ripken has done it again. His 2nd home run of the night. Number 391 lifetime. It is now 11-0 Orioles, and Ripken is 3 for 3 with 2 big flies. And he is getting an ovation from the enemy crowd, and many stand. Part of the reason they came to this interleague series to see Cal Ripken, and Cal is putting on a show tonight. 2 homers and a single. Delino DeShields takes ball 1. Over at first base, Randall Simon, Spire covering. And that's the inning, but it's another 4-run rally for the Baltimore Orioles, and the man has been putting up the numbers for him since 1982. The Iron Man, Cal Ripken, having a big night in Atlanta. Cal Ripken has driven in 5 of those 11 runs and has had 3 of those 12 hits.
That's a low fastball. I mean, he just drops the barrel of the bat on it. I mean, that's a beautiful swing. Timing was perfect. And he has his second home run of the game. First time up, he hit a home run off a slider.
And a curveball from Messina to Chipper Jones, who hit a double his first time, but now he comes up with his team trailing 11-0. Now, this has not often happened to the Braves in their own yard in the young history of Turner Field, nor in this park or old Atlanta Fulton County Stadium since the Braves got good in '91.
Well, 2 years ago in interleague play, the Atlanta Braves played the Baltimore Orioles, and the Orioles came in here and swept them then as well. That year was supposed to be a preview of the World Series. It didn't turn out that way, though.
Tough hop. Will Clark knocked it down. Messina covering. Chipper Jones is retired.
I'm starting to wonder about this infield, John. That was another tough hop for Will Clark. We saw one take a bad hop earlier in the game, and this ball that hits sharply on the ground, all of a sudden Will's in front of it and it jumps up and he blocks it. And watch him. This ball's hit right at him. He gets down in front of it, and that last hop, wide hit right there, jumps up and hits him in the stomach, but he's able to control it. And again, Messina doing his job, getting over to first base.
Will Clark being tested over there tonight. Cal Ripken, by the way, with 2 homers in a game, and it's the first time he's had 2 homers in the same game since mid-September of 1996.
Man,
when he hit 2 in a game against the Detroit Tigers.
Now that's surprising to me.
He's 80 hits away from 3,000 now, 9 homers away from 400. It's Aaron, Mays, Murray, are coached with Baltimore now. Musial, Yastrzemski, and Winfield. So it's not a bad name on that list.
No, but I think the first 3 should be separated. When you get 3,000 and 500, that is quite an accomplishment.
And only 3. Murray, the latest, and he did that in 1996 with Baltimore. Base hit to right by Brian Jordan.
Of course, you're mentioning Hank Aaron and Willie Mays along with Eddie Murray. The only players to have 3,000 hits and 500 home runs.
Well, Cal Ripken, when he came up, had idolized Eddie Murray. Murray had been a star in the big leagues for several years by the time Cal got to the big leagues at the tail end of the 1981 season. As Javi Lopez stands in, 1 out, 1 on. And that's off the glove of Charles Johnson. And something that Eddie Murray said to Cal early on in his career took hold with Cal. Eddie told us, says, you know, when you're a star player on your team, it is very important that you keep yourself ready to play every day, because your team needs you. They need you on the field. They need your leadership. And they need you to set the tone in that way. And Cal, I think, really took that to heart, Joe, just based on what I saw for the next, 14, 15 years. He never missed a game until last year. 2,632 consecutive games before he finally sat one out. In a 5-year period from 1982 until 1987, Cal never missed an inning of a game. And there aren't even records kept on that sort of thing. The stats people went off, and the nearest they could find was that a couple of guys had gone every game for 2 straight years without missing a single inning. And in 1984, in a year where the Orioles were clobbered by the Tigers in the pennant race, remember the Tigers just ran away from everybody that year, Murray and Ripken played every inning of every game both that season. Curveball, a check swing, foul.
Well, I think the reason he listened to Eddie Murray is because he was doing the same thing. I mean, Eddie had that mentality. He didn't have thousands of consecutive games in a row, but he went out there and he was ready to play every day. And he missed very few games in his career when he wasn't injured.
Eddie Murray, one of the great RBI men of his era or any era. And also, he was the guy you wanted up there when the game was on the line. He found out a way to get it done. And Murray and Ripken, you know, the game after Ripken broke Gehrig's consecutive game record. Cal hit 2,131 consecutive games. The next game was in Cleveland, and Eddie Murray was with the Cleveland Indians in 1995, a great Cleveland ball club. And the two managers, Phil Regan then of the Orioles and Mike Hargrove, had the two of them bring out the lineup cards that night. And that's a foul down the right field line, which was a poignant moment, especially for Oriole fans, because they were the two great Orioles, Ripken and Murray. And Murray was the only player that Cal mentioned in his little speech in the ceremony after he broke Gehrig's record. Lopez rips one deep into right center. Albert Bell can't get it. It's over his head and over the wall on the hop for an automatic double. Jordan will have to stop at third, although he's got great speed and probably would have scored on that one.
Well, Javi Lopez has been swinging the bat well all year long. I mean, he has really turned into a fine hitter, and he makes adjustments very well. Look at this pitch. Fastball away, goes the other way with it, doesn't try to pull it. Hits it over the head of Albert Bell as we take a look from behind the plate. And the ball bounces over for a ground rule double. It's right over the 390 mark.
So now Ryan Klesko tries to put the Braves on the board, but he skies one shallow left center. Jordan has got great speed tagging. Brady Anderson takes it. Jordan is coming, and the throw is offline, and Jordan scores. It is 11-1 Orioles. Lopez held it second.
Well, the great speed of Jordan allowed them to score this run.
Ned Yost wearing a microphone. Let's listen.
Oh, you got a hold on it.
Well, it sounded like to me he said you got a hold on it.
Me too. Andrew Jones into right, caught by Albert Bell. Mike Messina has a little bump in the road, but still got a 10-run lead. It's the Orioles 11, Atlanta 1 after 4. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. The Orioles 11, Atlanta 1 in the top of the 5th inning. As the Orioles come up with Charles Johnson against Justin Spire. Johnson is struck out and grounded out. John Smoltz knocked out early. 2 in the 3rd inning, 7 runs, 7 hits allowed. Gerald Williams goes into play right field in place of Brian Jordan. It's a foul off to the right. Like Jordan was talking to Don Baylor, the new hitting instructor this year for Atlanta. Yeah, there's Groove. They used to call him when he was with the Orioles. He came up with Baltimore. And he came up being taught baseball, as they used to say in Baltimore, the Oriole way, and he was proud to be an Oriole. Cal Ripken Sr., the late Cal Ripken Sr., used to say when he brought up all those young Orioles, he'd stand up to the first day and say, "Isn't it great to be young and an Oriole? And I happen to be both." And almost all of those young guys agreed that it was great to be young and an Oriole, Don Baylor included. And it was one of the saddest days of his life when he learned that he was traded to Oakland. He cried. And Don Baylor, the former manager of the Colorado Rockies, his name has been speculated upon in terms of what if the Orioles, in light of their poor early season, made a managerial change. What about Don Baylor? There was a column here in Atlanta that was speculating on that today. Coming up on ESPN Thursday at 11 Eastern, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, the U.S. Open Golf Championship. Lee Janzen will be out there And Tom Lehman, can he finally break through at the Open? David Duval, will he win his first major? Well, tune in. The U.S. Open Golf Championship. Starting Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. Mike Messina bunts it, but it's foul. 0-1. Well, Joe, I mean, you're talking about the Orioles. I mean, anytime a team's doing poorly, there are going to be things written speculating that there might be a managerial change. There'll be columns written saying that there should be. Fans will call talk shows. You know, it goes with the job.
Yeah.
That one is ripped into left field, and Klesko got a late break and can't get to it. Mike Messina with his second hit, and scoring on the play is Charles Johnson. Beating the throw home. Messina muscling up, making it a 12-1 Orioles lead.
And I'm just wondering if you're able to pick the ball up in the outfield, because Klesko got a late break on that ball. We saw Andrew Jones get turned around on a ball hit to the outfield. I remember when we first came here, they said the lights were bothering the outfielders, and that could be the case tonight. You see Klesko starts back pedaling rather than turning and going after the ball, which means he may not have spotted it well coming off the bat.
Now Brady Anderson, and he takes a called strike. Brady has walked, line to right, and grounded to second. He's 0 for 2. 12-1, the Orioles are leading Atlanta in the 5th inning. The Braves are just taking a pounding in their home ballpark here. But Joe, going back to the comment, the Orioles in their slow start. Suddenly this week, they've had strong pitching in 3 consecutive games. Scott Erickson has been in just a horrible slump. The second, Brett Boone throws him out as Messina moves over to third base, and there is one away here in the 5th inning. Mike Bordick coming up. Then they get the complete game from the young Sidney Ponson Friday, a complete game from Guzman yesterday. Mike Messina pitching a strong one here tonight. I mean, those 4 pitchers are all capable of putting together efforts like that. I mean, this Baltimore club with the veterans and the talent, I mean, they're capable of going out, as they did last year at one point, and putting together one of those 20-5 streaks. The one thing I don't know about the Orioles, though, Joe, the bullpen does not look that strong. It's been a real problem for them. All year long. And that's a foul out of play. I guess the ultimate point that I'm getting at is everything's been down, everything's been terrible, and now they're on their way to maybe their 4th consecutive victory tonight. Everything looks so much different when you win 4 in a row.
Well, that's true, but they've dug themselves such a deep hole, John, that I personally can't see them getting out of it.
That is a called strike 3 on the inside. The infield was in that time. Bordick goes down. He's now 1 for 4. And B.J. Surhoff will come up.
I can't see them, you know, getting out of it and maybe getting all the way back in the race, but they can obviously play well and, you know, have a respectable season. I think that should be their goal at this point. You have to get back to 500 before you start to think about any division titles or wild card races.
Surhoff the hitter, 0-1.
We're talking about the number on the Braves hat, 14. You see the 7 on the Orioles sleeve. That's for Cal Ripken Sr., who passed away earlier this year. So both teams wearing numbers of their comrades.
Driven deep into left center field. Klesko can't get to it. Extra bases for Surhoff. Messina comes in to score, and Surhoff has a double. It is now 13-1 Orioles. That is the Orioles' 6th double of this game. Surhoff's 16th of the year.
And Surhoff, having just an outstanding year, stays back on the ball and drives it to left center field. Klesko almost got there, but not quite. And a good backup there by Andrew Jones.
So the Orioles with a 5-run first, a 2-run third, 4 in the 4th, and 2 more so far in the 5th. Albert Bell, the hitter. Sharply right to Boone, and And he throws him out. That's the first time Albert has been retired. He's 3 for 4. Baltimore 13, Atlanta 1 after 4½. And ESPN Sunday Night Baseball continues. The Orioles 13 runs, 14 hits, including 6 doubles and 2 homers. Randall Simon leads it off against Mike Messina, and he takes low for ball 1. Well, this is not what you would expect to see when you come to Atlanta. The Braves getting hammered. We've seen plenty where the Braves have done the hammering. And after dropping the ball, DeShields recovers to throw out Randall Simon. There is one away. Tomorrow on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern Time, the Washington Mystics and Shamiqua Holtzclaw take on the New York Liberty. WNBA action. More information on that, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, the WNBA tomorrow. Now here is Mark DeRosa, Braves rookie, up the pinch hit for Justin Spire. We're in the 5th inning. Mike Messina and the Orioles are leading 13-1. Cal Ripken has hit 2 homers and a single. Will Clark has set a career record with 3 doubles in this game. Ripken with 2 homers, Clark 3 doubles. Albert Bell's had 3 hits. That's a foul by DeRosa. By the way, Cal Ripken, Joe, 391 career homers now. That moves him ahead of Greg Nettles into 32nd place on the all-time home run list. With his first homer tonight, he moved ahead of Johnny Bench into a tie with Nettles. DeShields throws out DeRosa, and there are 2 outs in the Atlanta 5th inning. But Joe, getting back to this little soliloquy I was on there, and about the Orioles, and what if things start going well, and you certainly could see things going a lot better for them if they went. But this is what you're saying. Let's say they went 20-5. Then that's a good run for almost a month. That would put them back to 500. I mean, you had to go 20-5, something like that, to get to 500. For the Orioles to win 90 games. And I think you'd have to win around 90 to be a wild card contender. From right now on, they'd have to win 66 games against 36 losses to win 90. And that's almost a 2 out of every 3 pace. Well, it's another easy inning. Guillen flies out to Brady Anderson. Will Clark coming up. Then Cal Ripken. Will Clark has hit 3 doubles in this one. There's Kevin McGlinchey on to pitch for Atlanta. One of the very impressive young pitchers in that Atlanta bullpen, which was supposed to be a real weakness for them. It turns out it has been a great strength for the Braves. You could make a case that their bullpen has been one of the best in baseball early on. McGlinchey, 6 feet 5 inches tall, a real hard thrower, and very young. He will turn 22 in a little over 2 weeks from now. A native of Malden, Massachusetts.
John, you're talking about their bullpen. Last year, the entire season, their bullpen had 16 wins. They have 12 already this year. There you see Eddie Perez. He's behind the plate, taking over for Javi Lopez.
DeRosa, who pinch hit for Spire, stays in to play short, so Guillen is gone. Will Clark, who's already set a career record with 3 doubles in this game, is coming up. Will Clark and Albert Bell, Joe, I mean, they've got a whole lot in common, right? Will Clark started his career in the National League. Albert always been an American leaguer. Will Clark is left-handed. Albert's right-handed. Will's never hit 50 homers, so on and so forth. I'm just making the point. There's not many things they have in common.
Well, I was waiting for the point.
All right. Each of them, in his very first plate appearance in the big leagues, got a hit against Nolan Ryan. That's one thing they have in common.
Well, Will Clark hit a home run, though.
Yeah. Very first.
Yeah, big fly.
Albert Bell got an RBI single against Will Clark. Now, against Nolan Ryan. What did I say? Against Will Clark?
Yeah. That would have been hard to do.
That's it.
Since they're in this separate leagues.
Just a single against Will Clark. Against Nolan Ryan, he singled home run. There's only one other active player who got a hit off Nolan Ryan in his first big league plate appearance. And he, too, had been with the Orioles. until this year. He's now with Cleveland. Roberto Alomar got a hit against Ryan in his first Major League plate appearance. And Will Clark had never had 3 doubles in a game until tonight. That was a close one. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Will Clark.
And you could see that Perez wanted that pitch. He was prepared to get up and throw down the third base, throw it around the horn.
Clark had had only 5 doubles all year until tonight. And there's a shot deep into center. Andrew Jones turns and watches it go. Home run. Number 5 for Will Clark. So he tops off his 3 doubles with a big fly to the deepest part of the ballpark. He has 10 total bases in this game.
Well, I'll tell you what, that pitch was down, and when he hit it, he knew it was a home run. I mean, he really put a charge into it. It's a low fastball. Will Clark has always been a low fastball hitter, and that pitch may have been out of the strike zone. And watch him go down and get this pitch. It may be out of the strike zone. Right about the knees. And there's that patented Will Clark finish. And he drives it straight away center field.
Here's Cal Ripken. He's had 9 total bases in this game. Fastball for a strike. Cal hit a 3-run homer the first pitch he saw from John Smoltz. That was the first inning. He singled in the 3rd, and then he launched a 2-run homer against Spire in the 4th inning. His first 2-homer game since 1996. Quickly, he's behind McGlinchey, 0-2.
Good fastball there from McGlinchey. That ball looked like it started just off the plate outside, moved back over the outside corner.
Cal Ripken, in his 26 games back from the disabled list, has 6 homers and 20 runs batted in. So Ripken, who had people speculating as to whether or not he was at the end of his career at the time of his injury, people were arguing about whether he should just go ahead and call it quits at that point. But that was not in Cal's nature. 349, 6 homers, 20 batted in his 26 games off the disabled list. 2 homers and 5 RBIs tonight. Oh, off the glove of McGlinchey, but that is going to go for another base hit for Ripken. McGlinchey nearly made a great catch.
Everyone's getting well here tonight, John. If your batting average was suffered, man, you got a chance tonight to bring it up. That's the 4th base hit for Ripken, 4 hits for Clark, line back through the middle. And you see a little difference. We talked about how well Messina feels his position. I guarantee Messina would have caught this ball. You see McGlinchey starts to bail a little bit, and he just reaches out. He's not able to make the play.
Here is Delino DeShields. He is 1 for 3. He had an infield single that drove in a run back in the 3rd inning. 14-1. The Orioles are leading in the 6th inning. Cal Ripken 4 hits in the game. Delino went up after one out of the strike zone there. Cal Ripken. One of those kind of nights tonight. Cal's major league record for hits is 5. He's done that 3 times, but not since 1985 has he had 5 hits in a game. He's had 4 hits now 26 times. Cal also has hit 3 homers in a game 1 time. That was at the Kingdome in Seattle 3 years ago. Tonight is the 17th time he's had 2 homers in a game. And the game where he had the 3 homers, he set his career record with 8 RBIs. He has 5 tonight. Cal Ripken. It's hard to believe it. He's now 38 years old. And with that hit, by the way, he's now 79 hits away from 3,000. Deep center. Andrew Jones under this one. And that is out number 1. Let's go to Mike Greenberg now for an update.
Pitcher, Charles Johnson.
Man. Hope he's going to be okay. As Charles Johnson hits a foul off the third base side. 0-1. The Diamondbacks atop the National League West. San Francisco Giants with a come from behind victory in Seattle today. Just a game and a half behind them, though. Barry Bonds just returning on Wednesday. But Bobby Cox was saying before the game tonight is that slider, check swing, ruled a swing by Paul Nowert, and it is 0-2. But Bobby Cox said to him that Arizona ball club, and he said we saw them earlier this year, a very impressive ball club. Randy Johnson, of course, anchoring their starting rotation, but also Matt Williams looking like the Matt Williams of old, and Steve Finley looking like the old Steve Finley.
I think you have to give actually the management of the Diamondbacks a lot of credit, because I didn't know that they had a game plan 2 years ago, but they definitely had in mind that they were going to go out into the free agency market, you know, the second year, and acquire whatever they needed. And they've done a good job of putting that ball club together. I mean, if you can go out and get Randy Johnson first and foremost, that helps you. And you already had Matt Williams there. Those are your two key components, I believe.
But I mean, Matt Williams has just had an extraordinary year, and so has Steve Finley. And Jay Bell has had a year like he never had before. And Luis Gonzalez is having a year like he's never had before.
Well, it took a lot of pressure off Jay Bell moving him from shortstop, because he was struggling there last year. And when you're a player and you play poor defense, it affects you offensively as well. They moved him to second base, less pressure on him defensively, and now he just contributes everything to the offensive side. He's still having a great year.
It's driven deep into right field. Gerald Williams back. This one is gone. A line drive home run to right field for Charles Johnson, his 12th home run of the year. And now the Orioles lead 16-1.
I tell you, the Orioles are making this Atlanta ballpark look like Camden Yards. I mean, this whole weekend, they hit line drives out here for home runs. They hit high fly balls. I mean, they're making this look like a very small ballpark. Fastball supposed to be away. It gets part of the outside part of the plate. Johnson does a good job. He doesn't try to pull it and rips it to right field. You can see that ball moves back over the middle of the plate almost. And he puts a charge into it.
Charles Johnson, 16 homers, and here's Mike Messina. Mike Messina hit a double his last time up, and that was the first time that an Orioles pitcher had had an extra base hit in a major league game since 1972, 27 years ago, when Rorik Harrison had an extra base hit for him. The last year, before the designated hitter rule came into use.
Rorik Long Ball Harrison, right?
But alas, poor Rorik. Was not much longer for the big leagues after that. 2-2 the count to Messina. I remember 1974 World Series. The Oakland Athletics, who used the DH all year, went into Dodger Stadium and played the Dodgers to start the series. And Ken Holtzman, who hadn't batted in a couple of years, right away bounced a double down the line, and it seemed to me Louis Tiant. Didn't Louis get a hit against the Reds in '75?
I doubt it.
Or 3 or 4?
He pitched well enough. I don't think he got any hits, but he pitched well.
Toward the middle. From shallow center, Boone. Nice play. Messina retired. 2 down. High above Turner Field in Atlanta, these beautiful panoramic glimpses of this new ballpark, courtesy of the Gum Out aerial cam.
They better not get too close. They may get hit by one of these flying baseballs.
Might not be safe. Yeah. The Orioles have hit 4 homers and 6 doubles in this game. Brady Anderson has not had a hit. His club has put 17 on the board, and every single hitter in the lineup has at least one, except Brady Anderson.
Charles Johnson just got his. They were the only 2, but.
And the count, 1 ball, 1 strike. Anderson has walked line to right and twice grounded out to second.
17 base hits in 5 2/3 innings.
We're going to have to get the record books out here to find out the last time Atlanta has had this done to them at home, or anywhere else for that matter. Ryan Klesko, and that ends the inning. Never will happen, we said. Boone coming up. We'll be back. From Turner Field in Atlanta. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but the Orioles are leading 16-1 over the Braves as Mike Messina goes to work with Brett Boone in the last of the 6th inning, and he misses with ball 1. Rich Amaral is on to play left field in place of B.J. Surhoff, who went 2 for 3. Jeff Rebele replaces Mike Bordick at short. And the count 2-0 now. And Jeff Conine has gone to play first base. Will Clark's big night is over. Will Clark had 3 doubles, a career record, and a home run. Two and 1 the count to Boone, who was struck out and flying deep to right center. He's been struggling anyways, 0 for his last 15.
And John, you can see why he's changed. He's back to that long swing he had before. And that's where he's been having his problem. The swing has gotten a little longer than it was. And last year he had such a fine year, drove in 90-something runs for Cincinnati. And the Braves got him, and I mean, he's a great defensive second baseman.
He was hitting real well.
Yeah, he was hitting 300 about 2 weeks ago. But he has struggled, and he said it was because his swing has gotten a little longer.
From Mascam, Charles Johnson wearing it. Came up and in with the fastball there. Got a piece of it. 3-2. Why do I like this shot so much? Just because it puts me down there? Is that it?
Yeah, I guess you always secretly wanted to be a catcher, I guess.
You know, I never did, and I did catch when I was 15 years old, but I was a blinker. That's why I couldn't catch. You know, I still blink. When the guy swings and we show that shot, I still blink. Ball 4 to Boone. That is the first walk allowed by Mike Messina. Chipper Jones now. He has doubled and grounded out to first. 16-1, the Orioles ahead. Cal Ripken 4 hits tonight, including 2 homers for the Orioles. Changed up on him and popped him up. Charles Johnson in foul territory. Number 1.
Well, that's why Messina is so smart. He just walks Boone, so Chipper Jones goes up there thinking he's going to start him off with a fastball, try to throw a strike with this big lead. And what does he do? He takes a little off the fastball and gets Chipper Jones out in front.
Mike Messina, you know, growing up in Pennsylvania, up near the home of the Little League World Series, still lives up there in the off season. When the season is over, he goes right up there and helps coach the football team at his old high school, and then also does some coaching with the JV team during the basketball season up there. Gerald Williams up for the first time in the game. He's up in Montoursville, Pennsylvania. He's a hometown kind of a guy, Joe, and he signed with the Orioles and got criticized by some of his fellow players because instead of playing it out and getting every last dime that he could get from the Orioles, he was committed. He wanted to sign with the Orioles because it was so close to home. He likes it there. He was comfortable there. Felt the deal was a fair deal.
And I like that because, I mean, money's supposed to make you happy. How much shouldn't have any bearing on, you know, your happiness. And I mean, he's happy to be in Baltimore, and they gave him a fair wage. And so he decided to stay. Sure, he probably could have gotten more on the open market, but he might have ended up someplace he did not enjoy as much.
Ended up maybe being a hired gun somewhere else. Well, Messina has been one of the preeminent pitchers of his time. Look at that. After 187 decisions, he's had the best record in Orioles history for that number of decisions. 1 better than Jim Palmer and Mike Cuellar. 5 better than Dave McNally, and those are some pretty good names. Well, the franchise that has had a history of outstanding pitching. Jim Palmer, one of the greatest records in terms of winning percentage of any pitcher in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Jim Palmer is a Hall of Famer. First of all, that's enough said. I mean, he was a very special pitcher. And he won 20 games several times. He won the Cy Young Award. Messina has not duplicated the Cy Young Award.
And, you know, Messina works in a 5-man. Palmer always worked in a 4-man, or nearly always.
Yeah.
And had, I mean, Palmer had some years where he completed almost every game he pitched. But in terms of getting out there and winning what he has started, Messina is right up there with the best. After 187 decisions, he has exactly the same one-loss record as did Hall of Famer Bob Feller. That's a fair ball past the diving Ripken and down the line. Brett Boone heading for third as Amaral comes up with it, and it's a stand-up double for Gerald Williams. Meanwhile, there's stuff going on in Anaheim. Let's go to Mike Greenberg for an update. All right, thanks, Mike. So we'll keep you posted on that ball game. The first place Diamondbacks in Anaheim. And they've just gone ahead. Here is Eddie Perez, the infield back, normal depth for the Orioles. A called strike ended his 0-1. The Orioles with 2 consecutive complete game victories here. Friday from Ponson, yesterday from Juan Guzman. They have not had 3 consecutive complete game victories. That one is right to Ripken. Wow. I don't know if Eddie Perez can hit one harder than that.
Well, he waited on the breaking ball, the Messina curveball, and he turned on it. He just hit it too low. There you see Cal Ripken. Watch how he reacts. He knows he has it all the way.
Ned Yost, the third base coach, wearing a mic. Let's listen.
Ah, back, back, back.
Here's Ryan Klesko now. Right center field. Bell and Anderson both there. Brady calls off Albert Bell. And that is the inning. 1 hit, 2 left. We're going to the 7th inning now. Albert Bell due up third. 16-1 Orioles. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Gumout. The Orioles 16, the Atlanta Braves 1 as we move to the top of the 7th. And there is Russ Springer on to pitch now for Atlanta. Hard throwing, tall right-hander. He's been on the disabled list. And Keith Lockhart goes in to play third base in place of Chipper Jones. And for the Orioles, Jeff Rebele will lead it off. Rich Amaral and Albert Bell scheduled to follow. The first at bat for Rebele. Fastball just off the outside for ball 1. 16-1. The Orioles ahead. The most runs the Braves have given up in a game here at their new home at Turner Field. We still have people trying to sort of in an archaeological dig go back for a long, long way to find out the last time the Braves gave up this many runs in a home game.
Well, the old launching pad over there, I think you may not have to go back as far as you might think.
Well, maybe to the pre-Braves being good era anyway.
Pre-Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox Avery.
Yeah, and Avery. 1-2 the count. 1991, the Braves got good after a lot of down years. That was even before Maddox came upon the scene. He was still a Cub in those days. Then it was Glavine, Avery, and Smoltz were the big 3. Remember that? Alejandro Pena one year ended up being their closer, and he was untouchable. Got him late in the season. And they certainly made life miserable for the Pittsburgh Pirates there for a while. Pittsburgh had some great ball clubs. Barry Bonds, Bobby Bonilla, Andy Van Slyke, Jay Bell under Jim Leland. But every year they lost in the playoffs to Atlanta. And that is strike 3 to Rebele. 1 away. Rich Amaral is next. Baltimore with 5 in the first, capped off by a 3-run homer from Cal Ripken. 2 in the third when they knocked out John Smoltz. 4 in the fourth, which was topped by another homer from Ripken, a 2-run shot. 2 in the fifth and 4 in the sixth, including homers by Will Clark and Charles Johnson. The Orioles have hit 4 homers and have had 10 extra base hits, and Cal Ripken is 4 for 4, 2 singles, 2 homers, and 5 runs batted in. That's on the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cal has had some big nights offensively. The biggest one he ever had, big curveball in there for a strike, was at the Metrodome. Cal had a 5-hit game at Minnesota, 13 total bases in that one. That is a base hit to right for Amaral. Hit number 18 for the Orioles, and Albert Bell is coming up. The original Orioles lineup. Big night for everybody except Brady Anderson as we check out the gum out in-game box score for the Orioles. And Albert Bell coming up. Look at that, 3 for 4. Albert's been struggling. He had 2 hits here yesterday after his 2 days off. Will Clark, one of his best games in a long time. 4 hits, including a career record 3 doubles. Cal Ripken 4 for 4. Everybody's happy in the black and orange tonight. Well, I can't speak for Albert because he won't talk to us.
Good little slide piece there from Springer.
Russ Springer, the 4th Atlanta pitcher. 0-1 the count to Albert Bell. And that curveball of beauty. Now, you and Albert are tight, is that?
Well, I don't mean.
Or am I overstating it?
We don't hang out together, if that's what you mean. But we're friendly to each other. I've known Albert a long time. I knew him when he played in the College World Series, when he went to LSU. And actually, we had a bond right away because Jimmy Wynn, the toy cannon, was his idol. He loved Jimmy Wynn. And so he liked me because I got to talk to Jimmy Wynn. And I had been Jimmy Wynn's roommate. So
you used to set up all those RBIs for the toy cannon.
Yeah, he liked me. He said, well, if you're Jimmy Wynn's roommate, you're all right with me. But no, we've always had a conversation. I've sat and talked to him a lot of times about a lot of different things, and we've always gotten along well.
Albert, who is not talking with the media in Baltimore,
Sound not
Washington.
media because I talked to him before the game today.
And it's a ball outside. 2-2 the count. Well, in spring training, riders will go down, players get taken out of the game in the middle of a game, a pitcher in particular, and they'll go down to the clubhouse and get some quotes and then go back upstairs. And that happened in Fort Lauderdale. And Albert Bell had a batted bat and struck out, and he came back and kind of tore it up in the clubhouse a little bit. I mean, even in spring training, he's a very intense, fiery sort. And those writers who were in there interviewing somebody else wrote about that. And Albert said, well, that's it then. I'm not talking anymore.
Well, I'm not going to say that he was that wrong because, first of all, if you're in spring training and things aren't going well, a lot of times people get upset. I mean, I've been upset in spring training. I've lockered next to Pete Rose. He would get upset when things didn't go well.
Jeff Conine, the hitter, by the way, his first at bat.
I just think it's a lot of times it's the way things are reported and the way things happen. I mean, if you were going to report every time a player gets upset in the clubhouse, after a game, during a game, or whenever, then that's all we'd write about. And I think sometimes you have to ignore certain things if they do not have an effect on other people. Now, if he would have thrown chairs or done something that interrupted their conversation with the player they were interviewing, but if he's down in his locker and does something in his locker, then I don't think that should be reported personally.
Well, his point was
it didn't have an effect on anyone else.
His point was that the clubhouse is supposed to be off limits to anybody but the players during a game. They had that exception to go down and interview people who've been taken out of a game, and he felt it was unfair. Now he's got a sign up in his locker at Camden Yards that basically says, if you need something from me, check out my website. That's ball 4 to Conine, and Cal Ripken is coming up now with 2 on and 2 out. Cal with 4 hits already. He's had 5 hits in a game 3 different times, but not since May the 5th of 1985, 14 years ago, when Joe Morgan was not even a Hall of Famer yet.
1989.
No, 85.
Oh, 85.
Yeah. Cal rips one. Deep left center field. Jones going back. That one is up against the wall. Amaral scores, and Conine stops at third, and Ripken's got his 4th 5-hit game. And here at Turner Field in Atlanta, they are standing on their feet and saluting the Iron Man, Cal Ripken, having a night to remember as part of a career to remember.
And I think that, let's see if Ray Miller has a flair for the dramatic. This would be a good time to take Cal Ripken out of the ball game.
Well, on the other hand, when you are as down as the Orioles are down, how can you take anything for granted, Joe?
I think I'm going to take it for granted that
you mean just
17-1 run lead with Mike Messina on the mound.
Just because it's 17-1?
No, because Mike Messina's on the mound. That's, I would say that
you would feel confident now.
I would feel pretty safe about tonight's activities.
See, now Randall still looks pensive to me.
See, I know Yogi Berra would disagree, but at 17-1 with Mike Messina on the mound, I would feel pretty safe about it.
So you'd send out a runner and let Cal get his ovation.
That's what I would have done.
Tip his cap. Delino DeShields takes a walk, and the bases are loaded, which means Mike Messina's got to get his batting helmet on and go out on deck as Charles Johnson comes up with the bases loaded.
Charles Johnson.
Well, we've seen good bat speed, we've seen good balance, and we've seen him really attack the ball, and he does this one. This is basically just hits with his hands. Look at that. He kind of throws the barrel of the bat at the ball.
Charles Johnson takes ball 1.
That's kind of a theory of a lot of hitting instructors. You throw the barrel of the bat at the ball. A lot of other hitting instructors want you to swing the bat. Cal definitely threw the barrel of the bat at that pitch.
And the count is 2-0. Conine at third, Cal Ripken at second, Delino DeShields at first. Ripken, by the way, now with 12 total bases, which is 1 off the Orioles' all-time record. And he had a 5-hit game at the Metrodome in 1983, where he had 13 total bases. Eddie Murray had 13 total bases in a game. Brady Anderson did it last year at Minnesota. Lee Lacy, when he was with an Oriole, did it at Yankee Stadium in '86. Had a 3-homer game, which the Orioles won 18-9. And Boog Powell did it all the way back in 1966 at Fenway Park. Tonight, Eddie Murray, the last time he had 13 total bases in a game. It's off the outside. 3-2. Was in Anaheim, and Eddie Murray had 3 homers and 9 RBIs by the 5th inning in Anaheim. Just a little bit low, and that will force in Jeff Conine. Charles Johnson gets the bases loaded walk. He's got 3 RBIs in the game, and it is 18-1 Orioles. 3 walks in the inning now. The last time the Braves gave up more than 18 runs was in Denver, although I don't count that.
Well,
0-1 to Messina.
we have to, though.
All right, it counts,
Okay,
but
right. You just won't give it much credence to the fact that it was in Denver. You're just going to.
I mean, it's like they come up with a note that said there's most runs they've given up since they gave up 19 in Denver.
Right.
And my response is, no kidding. I'm shocked. The Rockies got 19 against the Braves in June of 1996. The Orioles have 18 on the board here tonight in Atlanta. The gum out aerial cam. I think they're safe right there, Joe.
Yeah,
That'd
they're safe.
Yeah, that'd be a high pop-up. I don't like to see him out over the outfield right now.
Not at this point in the ball game.
Mike Messina at the first extra base hit for an Oriole pitcher in 27 years when he doubled in the 5th inning. 0-2 the count. The Orioles themselves are making the case right now for what do we need the DH for? Bases loaded. 2 more runs in for the Orioles here.
I think that last shot of Ray Miller showed him a little more relaxed, John. See, I think he's a little more relaxed right there. Yeah, see, I think he thinks that he probably has enough now.
Messina, base hit to left field. Number 19, Ripken. DeShields, number 20. Just when we thought we'd seen it all on Sunday Night Baseball, we come in to see John Smoltz pitch a game for Atlanta, and the opposition puts 20 on the board and counting. You told me that could never happen.
Well, Messina is taking over where Smoltz has been the hero this year. Smoltz came in with a batting average of 400 and did not get to bat in this ball game. And for Messina, that is his second base hit of this ball game. And this is where you really have pressure on you if you're Brady Anderson. Everyone has a hit, including the pitcher with 2 hits, and you do not have a base hit.
By the way, the Orioles just set an all-time franchise record.
20 hits?
20 runs. They had never in their history put 20 on the board until tonight. Brady Anderson. It's going to be a long flight for him tonight in the midst of all of those teammates who all got 5 hits apiece. John Miller and Joe Morgan, Sunday Night Baseball from Atlanta, and look at that score. Atlanta is trailing in a home game 20-1. Andrew Jones against Mike Messina, called a strike. Mike Messina has himself driven in 3 runs in this one. And Andrew Jones takes a ball. Andrew has hit a comebacker and he's flied to right. Randall Simon on deck, and then Mark DeRosa due up third. Well, this is truly an astounding score for the Braves at home or anywhere other than Denver. Even in Denver, when they gave up the 19 runs 3 years ago, I don't think they were held to 1 run. There is one away. Let's get an update now from Mike Greenberg.
First baseman, Randall.
All right, Mike, thanks. Here, it's not quite as close as that. Randall Simon took one that was up around the shoulder. It was a little high, yeah.
I don't think he hasn't swung at a strike tonight. You have to be a little more patient with a guy like Messina.
But you know, you talk about Messina being a smart pitcher. Oh man, did he shoot that one, but right at Kona. Out number 2. He kept getting all those curveballs earlier. He finally got a fastball. He didn't care where it was. He was swinging, man. 2 down. By the way, we send along our prayers and best wishes to Larry Durker and his family. And frightening time at the Astrodome today for a good man, and gladdened to hear that he was in a stable condition at the hospital afterward. He suffered a what they called a grand mal seizure. High fly ball. That game was then suspended. Caught by Conine. DeRosa is gone, and we're going to the 8th inning. Albert Bell due up third. The Orioles ahead 20-1. Islanders having a fine year out of that Atlanta bullpen. He's the 5th Atlanta pitcher of the game, but tonight they've given up 20 runs and 20 hits. It's the most runs that the Braves have allowed since 1990. And Joe, that is the year before they got good. The year before we even knew who Tom Glavine and John Smoltz and all those guys were. Steve Avery. Oh, man. Rebele. Oh, that hit the bat.
You know, I was going to wonder, I said, no one's been knocked down this entire ball game. No pitches have been thrown inside, but why would you pick Rebele? He didn't even start the ball game. It's a fastball up and in, and it wouldn't have hit him in the head, thank goodness, even if he wouldn't have gotten out of the way, but it hits the bat, and it's a foul ball.
Yeah, Rebele came out of the 7th. Just an innocent bystander to the whole scene.
Yeah.
He struck out looking his only at bat.
Yeah, well, that's usually what happens. You pick a guy that had nothing to do with it. It's like when a guy hits a home run and they hit the next guy.
The last time Atlanta gave up as many as 20 runs was 1990 in June in Atlanta at the launching pad. The San Francisco Giants put 23 runs on the board. It's a foul.
John, it's not to say that it's good or bad, but the game has changed a lot in that when a team would usually get knocked around like this, someone would have to get knocked down. Just, the pitchers would come up and in just to remind them, as they say, that I'm still out here. And now it is not the way the game is played, and it's different. But that's not to say that it's wrong. It's just that it's different.
Rebele fouls out to Randall Simon, and there is one away. Rich Amaral is coming up. 20-1. Well, a lot of folks are out there in the concourses, and they brought their kids out to the pitching area where they have a mound. They can work on their control, I guess. Braves on tonight, maybe they have a couple of scouts out there. Check out if there's anybody who looks pretty good. Here is Amaral.
I have to tell you a story. When I first came into the major leagues, I played for the Astros, and we were, one of the worst teams in the league. And we were playing the Cardinals one night. We beat them like 15-1. Couldn't believe it, but we scored 15 runs. Next day, Bob Gibson is starting for the St. Louis Cardinals. Bob Aspermani was the first hitter. He had 5 hits the night before, and then he got hit for the 6th time. He got hit first pitch of the ball game. He hits Bob Aspermani in the back. Game changed. Yeah. He said his point was, it's not going to happen to me what happened out there last night.
So you guys didn't score 15 that
No,
day?
we didn't score 15 that day.
Amaral had a single his first time. Well, the Orioles in 1987 had a game in Toronto. And the Blue Jays, talk about putting a hurt to a team, set the all-time major league record by hitting 10 home runs in the game. Still not broken. They beat Baltimore 18-3. Terry Kennedy was the catcher for the Orioles. And after the game, said, how come nobody ever went down? You give up 10 home runs. And he said, well, it wasn't like people were leaning out over the plate, hitting pitches out of the park they shouldn't have been hitting. Every single one of those were balls that were hangers or grooved. They all should have been hit. I just couldn't see throwing at somebody with bad pitches like that.
Well, that's a good point, except if you lean somebody back, then that bad pitch is not as bad as it appeared. If you're not leaning back. If you get a guy on his heels, that pitch that you hang in the middle of the plate, it's really not a hanger anymore.
Amaral with his second hit, and Albert Bell is coming up. Baseball tonight, coming up tomorrow night. Don't miss it. All of the scores of all of the games in all of the parks in baseball at 10 o'clock Eastern, and then again edition number 2 at midnight Eastern. That's tomorrow, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, and again at midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific. And exclusive highlights of games in progress only on ESPN's Baseball Tonight tomorrow. Here's Albert Bell. He is 3 for 5 in the game. Going back, Andrew Jones. He's got it. And that is out number 2. Hit hard by Albert. Amaral back to first. Now Conine. We're in the 8th. The Orioles ahead 20-1. Conine comes up. Cal Ripken on deck.
John, I was in the Orioles dugout before the game, and Arthur Rhodes' father and I were talking, and he said that his wife, Linda, and his daughter, Michelle, took off early today so they could get home and watch you on Sunday Night Baseball.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Not you?
No, they wanted to watch you. And they wanted to watch the Orioles, and I guess they got home in time.
All right. Well, you enjoying it? The Orioles with 20 runs on the board. I mean, Atlanta has scored 3 runs in this whole series. And the Orioles have outscored them 31-3 in 3 games in the Braves' home. Bobby Cox does not look pleased.
Well, he showed concern, John, in the very first inning. And when he was watching Smoltz, we had a shot of him, and I could see that he was very concerned. In fact, he was yelling a little bit because he could see, I guess, that Smoltz wasn't right. And they've lost the first 2 ball games in this series, and he did not want to get swept again, so he was very upset in the first inning.
At shortstop, DeRosa goes to Boone at second with a force on Amaral, ending the inning. 20-1, the Orioles ahead after 7½. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. The Baltimore Orioles 20, the Atlanta Braves 1. The most runs allowed by the Braves in 9 years here at home. Meanwhile, the final round coverage tomorrow on ESPN of the St. Jude Classic. Olazabal Monday, and that's tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific time.
The final round was supposed to be today, John, and it rained, and they postponed it until tomorrow. There was a lot of speculation they were going to postpone it completely because the U.S. Open starts on Thursday, as we promoted earlier, and most of the guys want to get to Pinehurst and practice before the Open, and they're going to force them to finish the tournament tomorrow.
Keith Lockhart, the hitter, against the new Oriole pitcher Rocky Coppinger, has come on in relief of Mike Messina, who went 7 innings, allowing 1 run and 5 hits, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. A new catcher, Mike Figa, replaces Charles Johnson. A new battery for the Orioles. Two balls and a strike now.
Well, Mike Messina pitched a very fine ball game. Only gave up the 1 run, 5 base hits.
High foul. Ripken starts over, but the ball is back out of play. You know, baseball, there are lots of numbers, lots of statistics.
Some of them do not mean as much as others.
And sometimes even when you think you've found a trend, they don't end up meaning a whole lot. I mean, this was Messina against Smoltz. Number 1, that should be a good pitcher's duel, right? Should be a tight ball game. I mean, the second bat of the game, Mike Bordick, before Brady Anderson got picked off, actually tried to bunt him over. All right? So sometimes they could be misleading. How about this? John Smoltz was 5-0 at home. Unbeaten here with a 1.54 ERA. Mike Messina, the 7-game winner, had only won 1 time on the road. He was 6-0 at Camden Yards. I'm looking for trends there, right?
Yeah.
And what do I get? 20-1 the Orioles. Messina, 7 strong innings, and Smoltz knocked out in the 3rd.
Well, that's why in the Open, my last comment was, you know, they're scoring so many runs, I'm not sure we're going to have a pitcher's duel. And it's hard to get one nowadays. I mean, there are so many runs being scored by most teams.
And this weekend, it's the Orioles are scoring so many runs. An all-time franchise record as Lockhart flies out to Amaral in left field. The Orioles had never scored more than 19 runs in a game before tonight, and they'd only done that 1 time in 1967 at Cleveland. Up in the upper areas at left field where we saw the kids earlier, they have replicas of the original scouting reports that were filed on some of the Braves stars. When the scout was having to make assessments, and this was on Tom Glavine. And at the summation at the bottom it says, can be outstanding prospect. Sort of a precarious art, scouting. And the teams that do it the best are usually the teams that do the best over the long haul of the field. I mean, getting the guys like Glavine, going out there and finding guys like that. And the Braves have done it as well as anybody, maybe better than almost anybody. That's why they've been able to win all through the 90s. They've actually changed their whole team over and stayed good while they did it, because they had that pipeline of young talent. Brett Boone draws a walk against Coppinger. And Otis Nixon's going to come up as a pinch hitter. The Braves gum out in-game box score. Brian Jordan has scored their only run. He's out of the game. Otherwise, not a whole lot to report there. The Braves have had only 5 hits. So now Otis Nixon, the veteran, and Otis has really not been able to get it going. A 167 batting average after 108 at bats. And then ball 1. 1 out, 1 on here in the 8th inning. The Orioles had 20-1. You know, the Braves' worst loss was by 19 runs to Montreal in 1978. They lost 19-0. So here they are down by 19-9. And Joe, you remembered scoring a lot of runs at the old launching pad, 1977. The Big Red Machine came in one night. I don't know if you guys were angry that night or just flexing your muscles or what, or showing off. But the Reds scored 23 runs over at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium in 1977 one night.
I vaguely remember that game, and I said I was probably like Brady Anderson. Everyone had 4 or 5 hits, and I didn't have any.
You went hitless? That can't be. How could they have scored 23 runs if you went hitless? Well, you probably walked 5 times. Otis Nixon is gone, and now Gerald Williams. The Orioles had a game where they gave up 26 runs in Texas. And that one really hurt. I mean, a loss is a loss, right? One loss.
No, sometimes they are a little tougher than others.
Well, I mean, you lose 3-2 on an error in the 9th. That's tough,
yes.
Right? 20-1 feels bad, kind of humiliating, I suppose, but it's a loss. The Braves are still in first place in their division, and the Orioles will still leave here in last place in theirs. The Orioles had a game in 1996 in Texas. They were behind 10-7 in the 8th inning. And Texas got 16 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning and beat them 26-7. That hurt a little bit. Rebele the second to DeShields covering for the force out on Boone. Now Cal Ripken is due up when we return. Cal has hit 2 home runs tonight, one against John Smoltz and the other against Justin Spire. We'll see. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. It is 20-1. The Orioles over Atlanta as Rudy Cianez has come on to pitch now for Atlanta, their 6th pitcher of the game. He's having a very fine year. And Cal Ripken is coming up first for the Orioles, a night where he's had 5 hits, including 2 homers. 5 hits equaling Ripken's career record for a single game.
And John, we're going to show you the bat speed and the bat track on this. This is the first one, a hanging breaking ball, 87 miles an hour. And you can see kind of through the barrel of the bat at the ball there. And you can really see it on his 2nd home run. This will be 89 miles an hour, the low fastball, and he really threw the barrel out there, and you could see him extend it. And he had a little better bat speed, 89 miles an hour. The one thing I'm finding is that most of your good hitters have a higher bat speed when the ball is down.
Well, that is interesting. Here's Cal Ripken. He's had 2 singles, a double, and 2 homers. He's scored 4 runs. He's driven in 6 runs. He has never had 6 hits in a game. He got something in his eye there. Maybe he just looked up and said, wait a minute, is that Cal Ripken? They brought me in to face Cal? That is hit number 6 for Cal Ripken. And those who are left in this crowd of better than 45,000 offer yet another ovation for the Orioles star in Atlanta. Well, they came to see Cal, and they saw a lot more perhaps than they ever would have imagined. The first time in his career that Cal Ripken has had 6 hits in a game.
Well, I take back what I said about Ray Miller taking him out and getting that standing ovation. 6 hits is worth it.
It was worth it. Thank you, Ray. Cal Ripken, 6 hits in a game. Also, one other footnote, it is the first time in the history of the Orioles that anybody has ever had 6 hits in a game.
That's a lot of hits.
The Orioles have moved from St. Louis. They were the old St. Louis Browns. 1954, their first year in Baltimore. Not even Eddie Murray ever had 6 hits in the same game as an Oriole.
And it's really hard to get 6 hits in a game in a 9-inning ball game. I think Rennie Stennett had 7 base hits. I'm not sure.
Extra innings.
Yeah, it wasn't in a 9-inning ball game.
Well, the Orioles had 33 times had a hitter get 5 hits in a game. Brady Anderson was the last one to do it. Cal Ripken had done it 3 times. Louis Aparicio did it 3 times in the same year, 1966. Cal's 13 total bases tonight equals the Orioles club record, which Cal jointly held along with Eddie Murray and Boog Powell and some others. That's a base hit for DeShields, his 2nd hit. The Orioles have 23 hits in the game. Cal Ripken now at 2,923 hits in a game, and he had sort of a Tony Gwynn-like night here, except for 2 homers and 6 RBIs.
Yeah, I'm not sure Tony Gwynn had 6 base hits in a game. I mean, that's just, you know how rare that is.
Gwynn got another one today, just back from the disabled list yesterday. He's 23 away. Boggs 44 away. I mean, is this incredible? I mean, what is it, June 13th? A month and a half ago, talk radio in Baltimore, Washington, and around the country for that matter, and columnists around the country speculating, should Cal hang him up? Because Cal looked so bad before he went to the disabled list. His back was hurting him. He was making errors. He was not hitting. And it pained people. You know, even people who are not Orioles fans who love to watch Ripken play and what he's meant to his club and to the game. A great work ethic. But Ripken said, no, I have to be sure to myself that if I'm healthy and if I still have something to offer, that I don't prematurely end it. Well, look at this. Since coming off the disabled list, now hitting .367.
You know what he's done tonight, John? I think he's only seen like 7 pitches. He hit the first pitch for a home run in the first inning, hit the second pitch for a home run his next at bat. I think he had 2 pitches when he singled to right. When he singled to right, he had 2 pitches, and then he hit another home run on the first pitch. And the last 2 have been first pitches. So he has been jumping on the first pitch tonight.
6 for 6 for Cal Ripken as Rocky Coppinger comes up. Mike Figa having struck out. 2 on, 1 out in the 9th inning. The Orioles ahead 20-1 against the Atlanta Braves. And Cal Ripken, I mean, he's had so many great nights, great days, and he's the last Oriole ever to hit for the cycle. That's a base hit for Rocky Coppinger, another hit by an Orioles pitcher, and Perlazo's going to hold Ripken up at 3rd. Mike Messina had 2 hits and 3 RBIs while he was in there. That's 24 hits for the Orioles.
Real pressure for Brady here.
Here are the 6 hits for Ripken. That home run in the first, the single in the 3rd, another homer against Spire, 4th inning, an infield single off the glove, a double, and then number 6, clean single to left. Three times 5 hits in the game, and tonight the first Oriole in history to get 6.
Well, I'm pulling for Brady here.
No hits at all.
Yeah, he's the only one. They have 24 hits on the board, and he doesn't have a base hit.
That's a strike. He is 0 for 5. And the one time he got on base, he got picked off. That was sort of the high watermark for Atlanta. Brady Anderson led off the game with a walk, and then he got picked off. And it's been all downhill ever since for the Braves. Nice save there by Eddie Perez. You know, I did a game at Fenway Park one night, 1980. And The Angels took a 20-0 lead over the Red Sox into the bottom of the ninth at Fenway. And Freddie Patek, remember Freddie Patek?
Yeah, shortstop, little Freddie.
Yeah, good base stealer, but not much of a home run hitter, right? But that night at Fenway Park, he hit 3 home runs. And he came up in the ninth inning with a chance for number 4. And the Fenway crowd stood up and gave him an ovation and started chanting his name. Can you imagine that? An out visiting player at Fenway Park? Freddie. And he struck out, and they gave him a standing ovation back to the dugout. Brady pops it foul. This will go back out of play. 2-2. And it was on its way to being the worst loss in Red Sox history, but then Dave Stapleton hit a 2-run homer against Frank Tanana. Made the final 20-2. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game, even the good ones, may not be disseminated without express written consent. 2-2 to Brady Anderson. Well, he's got his first hit. And 2 more runs are in.
And that run doesn't hurt anybody, so good for Brady.
You were really worried about it.
Yes, I was.
You were thinking maybe a severe depression might set in or something.
No, I was thinking he may go in and slash his wrist or something.
It is 22-1 as Cal Ripken scored number 21.
Well, this was important for Brady's psyche. It's a low fastball, and he pulls it down into the corner for a base hit. I mean, 1 for 6 looks a whole lot better than 0 for 6.
Rebele fouls one off.
Especially on a night when Cal Ripken gets 6 base hits. And Brady's probably sitting there thinking, I could use just 1 of those. Cal would still have a good night with 5.
Well, how about this? I mean, if you're Brady Anderson, Mike Messina had 2 hits.
Yeah, that's on everybody.
Rocky Coppinger had 1. 2 different pitchers had hits, and you were hitless. I was just sort of imagining what Bobby Cox would be saying about Brady's being 0 for 5.
Yeah, I don't think he was. I think he wanted him to be 0 for 6.
Got to play. 0-2 to Rebele.
Another true story, John. I went 6 for 6 my rookie year, and Jimmy Wynn was my roommate. He went 0 for 5. So I couldn't celebrate when I got back to the room.
Why not?
It's my roomie, man.
So you had to sit there the whole night and say, man, tough game.
Yeah, I said, did I get a hit tonight? No, that was my roomie. I felt bad for him, and I would have loaned him one.
It's big of you that you had 6 of them.
Yeah, well, that's what Brady was thinking about Cal. He's got 5. He could loan me one. Because if you got 5 hits, you're still going to have a pretty good night.
22 runs, 25 hits. You know, this is a little different because it's an interleague game. I mean, then Baltimore having to worry about the next time they play Atlanta. You know, if Baltimore was a National League team, they'd be a little concerned because Atlanta might be coming to Baltimore next week or in 2 weeks or a month or whatever. But what do they care? They would not play the Braves again unless they meet in the World Series.
But I must admit, I mean, the Orioles have not come out of their shoes swinging at pitches. They've played the game, and it just happens to be their night. They've not done anything, any extracurricular. I mean, Ripken gets his 6th base hit. He didn't jump up and down. Nothing was done to embarrass the home team. Everything has been done in the spirit of well-played ball game.
Count with his hitting instructor. That's appropriate. He's sitting with Terry Crowley, the king of swing. The hitman, they used to call him in Baltimore.
He could hit, too. Terry was a teammate of mine in Cincinnati.
He was the pinch hit specialist for Earl Weaver, although he never wanted to be, but he was good at it. And he's one of the outstanding hitting instructors in the game.
And one of the really good guys, because he's the kind of guy that when he talks to you about hitting, he knows how to get into your head. I mean, he's not pushy. He just talks to you and he makes you understand what he wants you to do.
I mean, hitting has not exactly been the Orioles' problem this year. They came into this game hitting .277, averaging 5.3 runs a game. That's a foul. 2-2 to Rebele. The Orioles' problem has been the other team's been hitting even better against them. Don't forget now, SportsCenter is coming up next. The update on The condition of Larry Dierker, the Astros manager. Juan Gonzalez milestone in Texas today. And then the Sunday conversation with Tiger Woods. Sports Center right after the ball game. And then after the Sports Center, Sports Century, the top 50 athletes of the century. This is an encore showing of number 32 from Baltimore. The great, the legendary, the man with the golden arm, Johnny U. Johnny Unitas. Rebele down on strikes, 2 down. 22 runs on the board for the Orioles, never more than 5 in any one inning. The Orioles have only been shut out in 2 innings of this game. As Rich Amaral will come up, he's had 2 hits since coming on. 2 on, 2 out in the 9th. But earlier this year in Denver, there was a 24-12 game.
That's a little, more competitive game, though.
24-12. Yeah. The first game I ever saw as a kid in the big leagues was at Candlestick Park, 1962, and the Giants beat the Dodgers 19-8. So I've been looking for games like this ever since, Joe. But in that game, Billy O'Dell went to the 9th inning with a 19-3 lead for the Giants, and he gave up 5 runs, and Alvin Dark actually got the bullpen going because he was getting rocked. And they asked him they asked Alvin after the game, were you upset because you had to get the bullpen going when the guy had such a big lead? He said, no. Billy was just trying to wrap this one up and finish it up, just throwing strikes. And he says, I knew he wasn't tired because he'd only thrown 150 pitches. 150, 5-0. And then the writer who wrote the article about the game, Bob Stevens, going into the Hall of Fame this year, said, well, actually, it was 161. Now, there's a little change in the game. He wasn't tired. He only threw 150 pitches. 22-1. I mean, take a look at that. And don't forget those numbers, because it may be decades before this happens to the Braves again. And that's a little bit low. 3-1 the count to Amaral. If he gets on base, Albert Bell is due up next.
Well, the first thing the Braves will do after this ball game is wait for the interleague schedule to come out and see if they have to play the Orioles again, because 2 years ago here the Orioles swept them, but I guess they would go to Baltimore next time.
Well, the Orioles, I don't think the Orioles have ever lost a game here at Turner Field. Swept them 2 years ago, and they're sweeping them again this year. Probably not exactly going out onto a limb right now, projecting them as sweeping this series. They lead 22-1 in the 9th inning. Ray Miller. It's a little tense to me, Joe.
I said to Ray before the ball game, I said, being a pitching coach wasn't too bad, huh? You don't have to put up with quite the second guessing, all the other things that go with being a manager. And as we know, he's taken his share of criticism this year.
Bruce Keeson is pitching coach.
Bruce was one of those guys, if the score was 10-0, he'd let you know about it.
I heard he was one of those guys, even if it was 1-0.
Well, that's a good point. He would. Bruce made sure you realized that he was the guy on the mound, and he wasn't always sure where it was going. At least he wanted you to think that. But he's a very fine pitcher. He dropped down through like kind of sidearm, but he was a very fine pitcher for a long period of time.
When I was with the Red Sox, Carlton Fisk, great catcher. And he was following your same philosophy there, Joe. That's right to the second baseman, Boone. And that'll wrap it up. 2 more runs for the Orioles. Cal Ripken got his 6th hit. First Oriole in history to do it. 22-1 Baltimore. Ryan Klesko. He has singled at a sacrifice fly and is flied out. He knocked in the only Atlanta run of this game.
And Jordan supposedly, if we heard the third base coach right, ran through the stop sign to score the only run that they had. If he wouldn't have done that, it would be 22-0.
It was really just kind of a pop fly into shallow left center, but Jordan beat Brady Anderson's throw home. Sports Center right after the game. Stay tuned. That game in Anaheim, by the way, is still going. They're in the last of the 10th inning. Arizona and Anaheim in a 1-1 tie there. It's amazing we had those 2 games in the same night.
Yeah.
That one's 1-1, and this one is 22-1. 2-2 the count to Klesko. It's a base hit. 6th hit for Atlanta, and Andrew Jones is coming up. Well, the Baltimore Orioles trying to make it 4 consecutive wins. And in this series, the starting pitching has been superb. Sidney Ponson, he's a big guy. He throws hard, great curveball. He had a complete game Friday. Juan Guzman, a shutout and a complete game yesterday. And Messina certainly could have had a complete game today, but at the time they took him out, it was 20-1. What for?
I think the one stat that stood out there for me was they had only issued the Braves 5 bases on balls in the 3 ball games. That's getting it done. That's making the other team earn their way.
The Orioles' earned run average in this series for the starting pitchers 1.08. And of course, before they got here, Scott Erickson, who had lost 8 of his first 9 decisions, pitched a strong one in Florida for a victory. It's a high pop-up. Delino DeShields, the second baseman. That is out number 2. Andrew Jones 0 for 4, and that'll bring up Randall Simon. But you know, the Orioles had been playing so poorly until this 4-game losing streak. The Washington Post had a column written by Richard Justice after he had interviewed the owner, Peter Angelos, and the tone of the article was such that Peter Angelos was sort of admitting defeat, that this ball club was a huge disappointment and probably not heading anywhere, and maybe even next year it was a club that might not be a contender. Based on what you've seen so far, next year does not look promising. I believe by 2001 almost the entire team will be made up of players from AAA or AA. Now the youth movement is definitely on. Now there's a lot of questions about that though, Joe, because they got a lot of guys who are not youthful signed to long-term contracts, and this ball game is over. For a weekend at least in Atlanta, the Orioles played the best the National League had to offer, and the Orioles looked like a team that had visions of October itself. They may have had merely a Pyrrhic victory because they are still 11 games under 500. But tonight, a huge win. Cal Ripken was 2 homers, 6 hits all told. A record night for him. Mike Messina getting the win. John Smoltz, a very early exit for Cal Ripken, a night to remember.